asked me 15 years ago, is self-publishing credible? I would have hesitated before answering, because back then the honest truth was it wasn't always. The self-publishing world had a reputation problem. DIY covers, minimal editing, vanity presses printing anything for a free. And for business authors, credibility is currency, so why risk it? But here's the thing, the publishing landscape has changed radically. And today's self-publishing, when done well, is not just credible. For many experts, it's the smartest strategic move that you can make. But if you've been on the fence about whether self-publishing can build your authority rather than damage it, let's talk about what's changed, what makes a self-published book credible, and why it might be the best business decision that you ever make. Why self-publishing used to have a bad reputation. For decades, traditional publishing was the gatekeeper. If a big publisher picked you, you'd made it. If you didn't, well, you could always self-publish, but it was often seen as the option for people who couldn't get a publishing deal. Now, why was that? Well, vanity presses took money from authors without providing professional quality. There were DIY limitations, where without today's design tools and freelance talent, authors struggled to produce books that looked and read like the real deal. And there were distribution barriers, which meant that books rarely left the author's own garage. The result was that self-publishing carried a stigma that put many serious authors off of even considering it. The game changers that made self-publishing credible. The past 10 to 15 years have seen a publishing revolution. Several shifts have leveled the playing field, and in some cases, tilted it in the favor of authors who go down the independent route. Number one is print-on-demand technology. Services like Amazon KDP, Ingram Spark, and BookVault mean that your book can be printed to order and shipped globally without you ever touching a box of stock. No upfront print runs, no garage storage, and no risk of thousands of unsold copies. Number two is the professional freelance ecosystem. Need a killer cover designer? An expert editor? A formatter who knows industry standards? The gig economy and specialist publishing freelancers mean you can now hire the exact same talent that traditional publishers use, and do it directly. Number three is global distribution. With the right setup, your book can be available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Waterstones, indie bookstores, even libraries. And yes, self-published titles now qualify for major book awards and review coverage. Number four is author control. Self-publishing gives you full creative and strategic control. You choose the title, the cover, the structure, the release date, and you retain 100% of your rights, which is critical for repurposing content into courses, keynotes, or licensed editions. And finally, the last big change was higher royalties. Traditional publishing typically pays 7 to 12% of net sales, whereas self-publishing royalties can be 40 to 70% of the sales price. That means more revenue per copy and faster return on investment, especially if you integrate the book into your sales and marketing funnels. Is self-publishing credible for business authors? Absolutely, and here's why. For business authors, coaches, and thought leaders, the question isn't just, can I publish? But will this book enhance my authority? Now, when done right, the answer is a resounding yes. You can get indistinguishable quality. So with professional editing, design, and production, a reader or an event organizer or even corporate client will never know whether your book was self-published or went through the traditional route. And frankly, they don't really care. The next reason is speed to market. In business, timing matters. Traditional publishing can take 18 to 24 months for manuscript launch. Self-publishing lets you to go live within months, not years, and without sacrificing quality. It allows for an aligned marketing strategy. You can position your book exactly for your audience, not a publisher's mass market target. That means higher relevance, better engagement, and more leads and sales from the right people. And finally, it's proof of your expertise. In 2025, credibility isn't about how you publish. It's about the value that your book delivers. A well-produced, strategically positioned self-published book says that you are a doer, not just a dreamer. Busting the last credibility myths. So let's get a couple of self-publishing credibility myths out of the way. Myth number 1, self-published books aren't taken seriously by media or event organizers. Now, the reality of this is that if your book looks professional and offers value, it can and does open doors to TV interviews, keynote stages, and corporate deals. I've seen it happen for my clients and even for my own books as well. Myth number 2, bookstores don't stock self-published titles. The reality is that many will, especially if you distribute through Ingram Spark and your book meets their quality and pricing standards. And finally, myth number 3, self-publishing is easier. The reality here is that it's more flexible, but it does require you to manage the process or hire someone who can. Quality is entirely in your hands, which means it's both a challenge, but also a huge opportunity. Why the smart money's on self-publishing? So here's the bottom line. Self-publishing is no longer a last resort for those who couldn't get a book deal. For many professionals, it's the first choice because it offers control, speed, higher margins, and the ability to integrate seamlessly within the rest of your business. And perhaps most importantly, it is credible. In fact, in some circles, being independently published is seen as a sign of entrepreneurial spirit and strategic thinking. How to make your self-published book credible. So if you want your book to stand head and shoulders with the traditionally published titles, you need to approach it in the same professional way. First of all, you need to hire a professional editor, at least a copy edit and proofread, but ideally a structural edit as well. You need to invest in quality design, both the cover and the interior layout, because readability does matter. You need to choose the right distribution channels for your audience. You need to plan your marketing before your book launches, not after. And lastly, you need to integrate your book into your wider business or personal branding strategy. Do these things and you will have a book that looks, feels, and reads like the real deal, because it is. Final thoughts. Is self-publishing credible? The answer is yes. When it is done strategically, self-publishing is not just credible, it is powerful. And in the end, credibility comes from the quality of your work, the clarity of your message, and the value that you deliver to your readers, not from what logo is on the spine. So if you've been hesitating, wondering whether self-publishing might hurt your reputation, let me say this. Done right, it can actually supercharge it. To finish off, I am going to give you your first step to making sure that you publish a credible and professional business book. Head over to my landing page, experttoauthor.co.uk, and download my free 49-step roadmap that will help you go from expert to published author. It walks you through exactly what to do and in what order to take your book from idea to professional publication without the overwhelm. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified of all of the great videos that I produce to help you with tips, tricks, and ideas to help you publish a professional quality business book that will help you revolutionize your business. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.